The regular season is right around the corner for Sun Devils football. Here's everything that we know about the team on this edition of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks, as always, for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. And, of course, a special shout-out to my everydayers who are here every day. Wherever you get those podcasts, make sure that you are subscribed, hit that like button, hit the follow button, whatever it is, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. You can follow me on Twitter/X at RichieBrads36 and the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. All right, guys. We are less than 2 weeks away from Sun Devils football. It feels so far away, but so close at the same time. And there's a lot that we're still learning about this team. You know, we haven't gotten our quarterback officially announced yet for who will be starting week one. We're waiting to find out what's going to be going on there. But beyond that, there's a lot of stuff that we have come to know about this team. And, you know, we still have a handful of practices. I will be able to attend at least 2 practices next week. Hopefully, we'll be able to go to Fridays. No word on Friday yet, but Tuesday, Wednesday will be open to the media viewing. I will be there. I'll let you guys know what I see. But we've learned quite a bit about this team. And that's what we're going to be talking about on this edition. You know, we're going to talk about what we have seen, what we've witnessed, what we've gathered from watching these guys in practice for the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. I think 3 weeks. Yeah. For the last 3 weeks, we're going to go over everything that we've learned about this team because, man, there's a lot to discuss. And with the new Kenny Dillingham era coming in and ushering in a new fashion and a new style of Sun Devils football, there's lots here. We're just going to talk about the big stuff for right now, because otherwise I could dedicate like an hour of this podcast to doing that, and nobody has time for an hour-long podcast. So let's go ahead and just dive into some of the big things. We'll go ahead and start. If you're looking at YouTube, if you're on YouTube, on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see everything that we know that we're going to talk about. The first thing is this run game is going to be good. It's going to be powered by Cameron Skattebo, and he looks terrific. He is just a downhill runner. He's got this bully ball mentality. He is so interested in running you over and helping to establish this ground game. More than just him, though, there's other guys to look at. Kyson Brown is a guy I have been talking a lot about if you have listened to this podcast. And if you have not listened to this podcast before now, let me tell you, Kyson Brown looks like an absolute baller for Arizona State Sun Devils football right now. I look at Kyson Brown and I feel like he could be a big time impact for the Sun Devils this year. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Like, he's not some 230-pound bruiser. He's 5'10", 195, but man, does he run like a 230-pound bruiser. There's nobody on the defense is interested in trying to tackle him. He's running through the arm tackles. He's running through at full speed. He's only got one speed, and it's without any brakes. Looks great. I have a feeling he's going to end up making a much bigger impact in his freshman year than people realize. And if he doesn't, then this is a guy to watch for the future because he looks incredibly promising. But speaking of guys that are, you know, part of the future, Tevin White, redshirt freshman, he is a guy who's 6'1", 230 pounds. Was sparingly used last year. There's only 2 games I can recall that he got carries in. There might have been 3 games, and like 6 of them came in week 1 against NAU in a blowout, and he has looked very promising as well. And running backs coach Sean Aguano has mentioned him by name before as somebody that he's really excited to watch this year and somebody that he believes can be a big-time impact for the team, one of the more special guys in the backfield. I have to agree because Tevin White is just so talented, and he has shown it in practice. He just looks bigger and stronger than everybody else. Him and Kyson Brown have been the guys that have really caught my attention here that aren't named Cameron Skattebo. But even beyond them, Javen Jacobs is working his way into the role of a wide receiver on offense. He's translating from wide receiver. I think I said wide receiver. He's translating to a running back from the wide receiver spot, and he looks good. He's going to be somebody that's very much a part of the passing game out of the backfield. We'll see how much he gets used as a runner. And then DeCarlos Brooks has also looked pretty good for the team. He's one of the transfer guys as well, joining Skattebo. He's coming from Cal. He's a veteran guy. He looks good. All of these guys, though, are just hard downhill runners. They are guys that you're looking forward to having them kind of establish the run and creating a run game that defenses have to respect. And, they can try and load the box all they want, but then you've got quarterbacks that can take the top off the defense. And that's the biggest thing here. That's the biggest takeaway is this run game is going to be good enough so that the offense is going to be able to rely on them to really get things going and to help open up the offense. Because when you have a powerful running game, you're going to have teams that are looking to stop the run more than they're interested in defending the pass. That's going to give you guys opportunities. And you've got weapons. You've got Elijah Badger. You've got Jalen Conyers. And that's really all you need. But they've got more than that to be able to pass the ball to. And they've got guys who can catch the ball out of the backfield. They're just going to be able to make this offense run like a well-oiled machine. And they're going to be able to move the ball very, very efficiently, very effectively, and make life easier for the quarterback. So when I'm looking at this offensive unit, my immediate attention is drawn to the run game, how strong it's looked, how strong I believe it will continue to look. And the bottom line is they've just been one of the biggest stories of training camp so far. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the right fit, and it's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the parts will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Thanks for tuning in. Wherever you get your podcasts, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're getting back into some more training camp next week. I'll be sure to fill you guys in on everything that I see for free. All right. Next thing, the next biggest thing that we have learned at training camp so far for the Sun Devils. This is a team that's going to be doing a lot of rotating on defense. And this isn't a bad thing at all. In fact, I think this is a very good thing for the team, is going to be able to have a healthy, stable, and rotation of guys at every level of the defense. And this is also a really important factor when you consider this is a new defense. This is practically a new defensive coaching staff. I don't believe anyone's returning from last year, but I could be wrong. But obviously, it's a new defensive coordinator with Brian Ward. You've got several guys that are transferring into the program. You've got several guys that are returning to the program that don't have a ton of playtime experience. And you're just looking at this unit and there's question marks. Thankfully, there's a lot of answers. And by a lot of answers, I mean there's plenty of guys to be rotating in until you definitively have guys that you feel confident about being full-time starters or anything like that. We can start with the defensive line. I've talked about this unit having tons of depth at the edge rushing spot, and that continues to be true. Clayton Smith, BJ Green, as far as I'm concerned, you can pencil them in as starters. But there's going to be guys that get rotated in. Michael Matus, Garen Stansbury, Ashley Williams. Who else am I missing? Prince Dorba. Like, it feels like an endless list at the edge rushing spot. Now, defensive tackle, not so much, but, cross that bridge when we get to it. I still like Deshaun Mallory. I love that Anthony Cooper's moved inside. I love CJ Fight. Everyone knows that. There's other guys as well, Sam Benjamin, Tristan Monday, but the defensive line looks good. You've got guys that can move inside and outside, like Anthony Cooper can go to edge if he needs to. Michael Matus can kick inside if he needs to. There's a lot of looks that they can give you. Linebacker, there's a lot of different guys. One of the guys that I've been talking about a lot lately is Crew Jackson. He's been getting a lot of on the field opportunities. He's somebody who's definitely stood out to me as someone to really keep an eye on and just take a special notice in him and watch out for number 43 this year. Now, will he be on the field a lot? I don't know, but he definitely is getting a lot of opportunities. But beyond him, you've got Tevin Brown, who's transferring from Washington State. He's familiar with Brian Ward's defense as somebody who's played under Ward previously at Wazoo. He looks good. They've got a really nice veteran rotation with Will Schaefer, Caleb McCullough, James Joncom. I like that core. I love Crew Jackson. I'm interested to see how Tate Romney and Kavian Thunderbird are going to get involved as well, but lots of rotation at the linebacker spot as well. And then the secondary, forget about it. Like, you've got Shamari Simmons, Xavier Alford, hopefully Xavier Alford, and Chris Edmonds at safety, and Montana Warren, when he returns from injury, looks like a superstar in the making. Tons of guys at safety, plus you factor in a guy like Jordan Clark who can play both in the nickel outside and in the deep roles as a deep safety. Like, you got tons of guys to use. Corner, lots of competition. We all know Ro Torrance is a certified stud and somebody that's going to put the Pac-12 on notice this year. But across from him, it's been a heated competition between Mason Williams and Ed Woods. It's going to continue to be that way, and I expect it to continue to be that way going into the regular season as well. I don't see any reason why you would get away from using multiple guys that just look good as outside boundary corners. They both look good. They both look quality. I want to see them continue to get those opportunities. And then the same thing for like the nickel corner. Like I talked about Jordan Clark, but D Ford has also looked really good and someone that you just need to find a way to get him onto the football field. There's depth as well. Damon Williamson is somebody who's been getting a lot of time, especially with Montana Warren going down. You've had some younger guys as well. There's RJ Reagan that's still there. There's, I don't have the list in front of me, but there's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of veterans. There's transfers in here. It's just a good looking group. I think that after the edge rushing group, I think I would have the corner group as the second best unit on the team. It'd be them or the safeties. Like, the secondary just looks deep across the board. It's definitely a unit that has plenty of bodies to be able to rotate through. And that's the biggest thing that we've learned is not only do they have the ability to rotate, but they've shown that they're going to be constantly rotating these guys. When I was trying to chart with Devil's Digest, like first team, second team reps, very difficult because they're constantly coming in and out off the sidelines and going into different positions. And the linebackers especially was the biggest pain in the butt to try and monitor because it was constantly changing. It felt like you didn't have very much consistency as far as who was starting, who wasn't. That's not a bad thing at all. In fact, I think it's a good thing to be able to know that you have a variety of different options to be able to go to. Sun Devils defense just looks very, I won't say deep because we just don't know if it's going to be a really good unit, but they have a lot of options. They have a lot of different guys that they can go to and a lot of different guys who can do different things for you. That allows you to be creative with the defense. And that's something that, Brian Ward and some of the other defensive coaches have echoed as well, is they want guys to be able to be versatile, play multiple roles, be able to be lined up in different positions and provide you with high level play. That's something that they're really looking forward to out of the entire defense at all three levels. They want these guys to be able to do multiple roles. They want them to be able to do it well, be confident and comfortable enough that in a pinch they can go to a different position. But yeah, they just look really, really comfortable with lots of rotation. That's one of the biggest takeaways that I've had on the defensive side of the ball. Again, thank you guys for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Free and available on all platforms, so make sure you hit like and subscribe and turn on those notifications because I'm giving you content for free. All right. Last thing that we know about this team, I don't know if this is like a cold, hard fact, but I'm willing to say it. This team is going to surprise some people. this could be a 4-win team. This could be a 3-win team or a 2-win team. I think they're going to be in every game this year. I think that short of like Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and Michael Penix just being unstoppable forces for their respective teams, like I look at the Sun Devil slate, and it's a very difficult schedule. It's a very difficult schedule. I have been very firm on 4 wins for a while, although when we get closer to the regular season, I may or may not be bending on that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But this is still a team that I believe is going to be consistent in putting up a fight this year. I really like them to be a team that's going to challenge their opposition, that's going to be able to go maybe not stride for stride, but definitely making it so they're probably not getting blown out. Like they're going to be able to do things offensively, whether it's through the air or through the ground. No matter who's at quarterback, I really do think that this offense is going to be challenging for top half of the Pac-12. I think that 7 to 8 range is probably a sweet spot for them. If they're higher, obviously I'm here for it. If they're lower, not too much of a surprise simply because they're a rebuilding team. Same thing for defense. I think that 7 to 8 range is probably their sweet spot in terms of like the best they could possibly be. They could surprise some people just with how good that defensive coaching staff is. They could end up coming out and just dominating, or they could really struggle in year one and be one of the bottom units. Like none of that would surprise me. But what won't surprise me is these guys coming out every single week, every Thursday, every Friday, every Saturday, whenever that they are lacing up and getting ready to go. I believe that they're going to be a football program that is going to be in a lot more games than people will give them credit for. Again, this is a team that's closer to 4 wins than they are 8 wins, right? A lot closer to 2 wins than they are 10 wins. This is a program that's at least a year away, if not 2 years away. It's a rebuilding program. But the way that these guys have been practicing with each other, this iron sharpens iron mentality, these guys that are lifting each other up, they're challenging each other, they're coaching each other up. You've got a coaching staff too that has just taken such a massive interest in these guys and is so invested in getting these players and this team and this program to that next level sooner rather than later. So again, they might not win a lot of games this year, but I really don't think that there's going to be many games that they're just totally out of. I think that even with the gauntlet of a schedule that the Sun Devils have been given out this year, they're going to find a way to be in a lot of these games. They're going to find a way to compete, and they're going to find a way to pull off some upsets. I think that there is at least one upset in store for us this year. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm not willing to say it's going to be USC or Oregon or Utah or Washington. Not willing to say that, but who knows? Maybe by the end of the season, you have like a Washington State who's better than we realize, and they're able to pull off that upset. Or maybe when Oklahoma State comes to town, our future Big 12 rival, they're able to pull off that upset. I just feel like this team is going to be a lot more competitive than a lot of people are going to give them credit for. They've got fight in them. They got that dog in them, if you want to go that far. They exude confidence, swagger, and an overall sense of underdog kind of vibes. Like they know going into this year that there's no expectations for them. And I think that they're really excited about that, is to know that nobody's expecting anything out of this team, which is when they come out and shock the world. I'm really excited about this program. I'm really excited about the future, but this is everything that we've learned so far in a nutshell. Like I said, we could go on for a while talking about everything. These are the 3 biggest takeaways that I have learned from practice so far. We still have 13 days until the season kicks off. We still have at least 1 more week of practice where media will be able to be in attendance. But what are you guys looking forward to? What have you guys learned from this podcast or from any other source that you guys are seeing? Any highlights? What all do you guys think are going to be cold hard facts for the Sun Devils in 2023? Let me know in the comments on YouTube or you can hit me up on Twitter/X at RichieBrads36 and the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. But I thank you guys for tuning in. Wherever you get those podcasts, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36 and the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. That's all that I got for you guys today. I will see you again next Monday. Until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.